hammer of the Emperor. They do not wear power armor. They do not wield relic blades, and they are not remembered in songs of glory. But they win wars, not through might, but through numbers, grit, and the sheer refusal to die. The Astra Militarum, also known as the Imperial Guard, is the most human army in the entire Warhammer 40K universe. No gene seed, no divine origin, just billions of regular soldiers holding the line against nightmares. They are the wall between humanity and extinction. In a galaxy where demons crawl through the warp and heretic Astartes unleash planet killers with a whisper, the Guard answers with lasguns, tanks, and trench lines. From ice worlds to jungle death zones, every soldier fights not for glory, but because there's no one else who will. You might know the names, Cadian, Catachan, Krieg, but each of these regiments tells a different story, and together, they form the living shield of the Imperium. Before we continue with the video and my further explanation about the lore Warhammer 40K legions, I want to ask for your help. I'm trying to reach 5,000 subs before the grim darkness future starts, so I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and help me out, and let's win this battle together. Okay, let's continue. What is the Astra Militarum? Before there was an Astra Militarum, there was the Imperial Army. During the Great Crusade, the Emperor's goal was unity. One galaxy, one Imperium. To do that, he needed warriors. The Space Marine legions broke enemy lines, but it was the Imperial Army that held the ground. They were vast, planet-bound forces, organized and outfitted to conquer and control entire systems. But after the Horus Heresy, the Emperor, now imprisoned on the Golden Throne, could no longer risk such power being held in one place. The Imperial Army was split. Out of that fracture came the Astra Militarum, a new force, more specialized, more segmented, and easier to control. Instead of galaxy-spanning armies, each regiment would come from a single world, with its own traditions, tactics, and identity. It made coordination harder, but rebellion nearly impossible. Now, they are the Imperium's front line. The Astra Militarum isn't about finesse. It's about attrition, overwhelming firepower, and pure human will. While Space Marines fight where the battle is critical, the Guard fights everywhere else. And in the grim darkness of the 41st Millennium, that means everywhere. 2. Structure of the Astra Militarum. The Astra Militarum is chaos, disciplined chaos. Regiments are not universal. There's no standard trooper. Instead, every regiment is raised from a single planet, trained based on that planet's culture and conditions, and then deployed far across the galaxy. A desert world breeds raiders. A death world breeds killers. A hive world breeds bodies. Each regiment is self-contained. Infantry, armor, support, all from the same origin. That means a jungle regiment might never have seen a tank, while an armored regiment may barely know how to fight on foot. Coordination between regiments is essential, but rarely seamless. That's where the Departamento Munitorum steps in, a massive bureaucratic engine that assigns orders, logistics, and endless forms. It's said more guardsmen die from paperwork than plasma fire. At the top stands the Lord Commander Militant and the High Lords of Terra. But in the field, leadership comes down to generals, colonels, and commissars, especially commissars, ruthless enforcers of morale who will shoot a fleeing soldier in the back just to make the others hold the line. But that's what it takes. Because when your enemy is a Tyranid swarm the size of a moon. 3. Famous regiments of the Astra Militarum. No two regiments in the Astra Militarum are the same. Each one is a reflection of its homeworld, its culture, its environment, and its scars. Take Cadia. Before the 13th Black Crusade, Cadia was the bulwark at the edge of the Eye of Terror. Its people were born soldiers. Even children could assemble a lasgun blindfolded. Life on Cadia was a countdown to the next invasion. The purple hue of the warp-tainted sky was the only sunrise they knew, and when the planet finally fell, they held. They held the line until the planet cracked apart. Cadia didn't die because it lost. It died because it ran out of time. Now you have the Catachans. Imagine a world where everything wants to kill you. The trees, the animals, the air itself. That's Catachan. Its regiments are walking death machines, ripped, scarred, and brutal. Catachans don't follow orders easily, but they survive where no one else can. You drop them into a jungle, and they become the jungle. Orcs fear them. Tyranids respect them. The Imperium tolerates them because they get results. But if you want to understand loyalty, look to Krieg. The Death Korps were born from a civil war. Their world turned against the Imperium, and then turned on itself in nuclear fire. The survivors were molded into perfect soldiers. They don't speak much, they don't complain, and they don't retreat. Their tactics? Trench warfare, endless charges, and artillery bombardments that make the earth scream. The Death Korps believe they owe the Emperor a debt, so they pay it with their lives. Across the dunes, the Talorn desert raiders ride. Their world was poisoned by chaos long ago. Now, it's nothing but ash and wind. But the Talorn adapted. They fight like ghosts, striking fast, vanishing faster. Skirmish, sabotage, ambush. The desert taught them patience and silence. And they repay that lesson in blood. Then there are the Valhallans, stoic ice warriors from a world that never thaws. They face the enemy the same way they face the cold, head on, with no emotion, no panic, and no room for failure. You don't survive on Valhalla by being soft. These soldiers hold the line, even when they're buried waist-deep in snow and shells are falling like hail. The Mordians, on the other hand, fight with order. Their world was consumed by lawlessness until the people turned to absolute discipline. Now, the Mordian Iron Guard marches in perfect formation, even under artillery fire. Bright uniforms, shined boots, straight lines. In the face of chaos, they answer with unity. Some say it's suicidal, others call it inspiring and attractive. The Vostroyan firstborn are born from debt, literally. Long ago, their world failed to send troops during the Horus Heresy. To atone, they vowed that every firstborn son would serve in the Astra Militarum. These are aristocratic warriors, covered in gold filigree and high-born pride, but make no mistake, they bleed like anyone else. In the hive hell of Armageddon, the Steel Legion was forged. Armored columns, gas masks, mechanized fury. Their world has been invaded by Gazkul Thraka himself. Twice, and they're still there, still fighting. You'll never find a cleaner tank formation or a colder veteran. They don't talk about victory, they just advance. Now look up, because the Elysians fall from the sky. Drop troopers, orbital insertion specialists, parachute regiments. They drop into war zones while they're still on fire. Many don't survive the landing. Those who do fight like lightning, fast, precise, gone before the enemy knows what hit them. But every mission is high risk. Every soldier knows he's disposable, and yet they jump. And finally, the Tanith First and Only, a regiment from a world that no longer exists. Tanith was destroyed the moment its people were being shipped off-world. These scouts, snipers, and survivalist zests carry the ghost of their home with them into battle. Led by Colonel Commissar Ibram Gaunt, they fight in the shadows, silent, invisible, deadly. They don't hold ground, they disappear into it. Each regiment is a story, each name a battlefield. And together, they remind us, there's no such thing as just another guardsman. Because in the end, they're all that stands between humanity and the abyss. 4. Lesser-known and specialist regiments. For every famous regiment with 1,000 stories, there are 100 more you'll never hear about. Regiments lost in the void, buried under collapsed hives, or disbanded after one brutal campaign. Some, like the Savlar Chem Dogs, are made up of convicts. Thieves, murderers, and traitors offered a single choice: rot in a penal colony or die for the Emperor. Most don't last a month. The ones who do, they become the dirtiest, deadliest scrap fighters in the Guard. No honor, no rules, just results. Then there's the Praetorian Guard, a mirror of British redcoat aesthetics with lasguns and bayonets. They fight with parade ground precision and colonial-era arrogance, often paying the price in blood before adapting. But when they do adapt, they hold fast, even when the ground itself turns against them. Or the Necromundan Spiders, urban combat specialists from hive cities, trained in vertical warfare, sewer raids, and gang-style brutality. In the endless corridors of space hulks or the shattered spires of fallen cities, these troops thrive where tanks can't tread. The Imperium doesn't just use bodies, it uses everything. Faith, desperation, pride, even crime. That's the true scale of the Astra Militarum. Not unity, but diversity and devotion to a single golden corpse on a throne. How planets shape regiments. Every regiment is born from a world, and that world decides everything. A death world creates survivors. Brutal, instinctive, paranoid. Soldiers from these planets, like Catachan, treat war as just another day of staying alive. No training simulation could match the things they've faced just growing up. Hive worlds breed numbers. Massive city planets where life is cheap, and the Underhive teaches you to fight before you can speak. These soldiers are gritty, violent, and fast. Discipline comes later, if ever. Feudal worlds shape regiments into knights and warbands, with honor codes and melee weapons alongside laser guns. Forge worlds give you precision, Mechanicus-grade efficiency, and machine worship baked into doctrine. And then there are the agri-worlds, mining colonies, or void-born, each with their own doctrine, accents, tactics, and rituals. This is how the Imperium ensures variety. You don't get a universal soldier in the Guard. You get specialists, survivors, warriors who carry their world on their shoulders, and their ancestors in their blood. 6. Regiments in campaigns and lore. The Astra Militarum doesn't just fight battles, they endure them. In the Sabbat World's crusade, wave after wave of guardsmen fought through the chaos-held systems, with Colonel Commissar Gaunt and the Tanith First and Only carving their names into history. During the fall of Cadia, it wasn't the Space Marines who held the bunkers when Abaddon's fleets arrived. It was the Guard, regular men and women staring down Black Legion traitors and demonic horrors refusing to break. The Macarian Crusade saw millions of guardsmen follow a tactical genius, Lord Solar Macharias, across 1,000 worlds, in a campaign so brutal it collapsed under its own weight. These aren't just wars, they're sacrifices. 7. Why the Astra Militarum matters in Warhammer 40K. In a universe of gods, monsters, and immortal giants, the Astra Militarum are just people. No gene seed, no psychic shield, no divine armor, just a flak vest, a laser gun, and a prayer. But they still fight. They fight because the Emperor demands it, because their families back home depend on it, because if they don't, no one else will. The Guard doesn't win wars with heroes. It wins with numbers, with courage, and with corpses stacked higher than the trenches. And that's why they matter, because in the grim darkness of the far future, the most powerful weapon isn't the bolter, it's the human spirit.